my friends, so today we're going to talk about why you should get out of your comfort zone and skate different parks in your area and maybe even in different cities. Now, not the biggest, I was going to be exaggerating. One of the biggest reasons why I didn't progress or I stunted my progression was because I stayed at one skate park and didn't really explore any other alternatives, even though there was, a good amount, in my surrounding area. I would kind of just stay to definitely one park, but I did, as I got more comfortable, explore, start skating Belvedere Skate Park, Lincoln Skate Park, but primarily Hollenbach Skate Park. And because of that, I got very comfortable with specific dimensions of ramps and it didn't get me exposure to different, terrains, different, angles, different ramp sizes,
rail sizes.
And so when I went to Skate Street and I first started to do that, I felt very uncomfortable and then I began to ask myself, what are things that I could have done in the past so that I would have just been a bit more prepared when I go skate something different. It doesn't have to be a skate spot, a street spot, but even when I go to different parks, why is it that kickflip nose mani is so much harder on a different box versus the Hollenbach mani pad that I'm always skating? And it's simply because, it could be simply put because your body just isn't aware of, the surroundings, and so that your nervous system feels very uncomfortable. It's something that sounds silly, but is very true and is only confirmed as I, skate more and more. And so just because you could do kickflip nose mani, or I'm speaking about myself, just because I could do kickflip nose mani on a manual pad at Hollenbach doesn't mean I'm gonna necessarily be able to do it every time right here, right? It also depends how much you practice the trick and how long you've been doing it. But for the most part, even a simple ollie down some 5 stairs at another park might feel a bit more taxing, just because you're not exposed to anything similar. And so for those reasons, you want to just go to different skate parks, especially now that there's so many options. And actually, I just realized my bias. For those of you who skate in areas where maybe you just have one skate park, then I encourage you to go skate anything else that there might be, even if it seems very pointless. Even if it's a curb or
the flat ground could be
flat
different.
ground, even if it's different type of flat ground,
less rough,
a little less rough, a little more rough. Just giving yourself that exposure so that your adaptation becomes a bit more effortless as you build that palette of skate park. So having said that, I'm going to run through certain tricks that I feel very comfortable with, and while doing so, I'm going to kind of give you some insight on why it's beneficial to skate a different park, because it has you, doing those same tricks with a slightly different approach that might, be getting you ready for something that you might be encountering in the future, right? So for example, I'm gonna do kickflip nose mani on this. Usually the manual pad size that I'm super comfortable with is maybe starting at where this thing starts. So maybe right here. That height, I'm super comfortable with flipping into it. But once it gets any higher, such as this, it becomes this much more, difficult. And so it's a little more taxing. So, I have to make sure I'm engaged a bit more. I have to be a bit more conscious about making sure I'm engaged. I get lower so I can get a good snap. Otherwise, I can easily rely on my
habits.
My intuition, not my intuition. How do you say, my muscle memory, and kind of try to half-ass it when every attempt should be given its respectable amount of intention, right? So we're gonna see how long this takes me. I think honestly I'll do it first try, but the biggest takeaway from here is that I have to focus about being a bit more engaged, and it not only helps me for when I encounter a a higher manual pad, but it helps me be even that much more consistent at Hollenbeck, that manual pad that I skate so much. So it's a win-win. Okay. So even something like the length kind of shortening is a little stress test, because at the manual pad at Hollenbeck, I can kind of land wobbly and then kind of balance it out towards the end. But here, I have to just trust myself even if I don't land so comfortably. And so even this shortening that manual duration makes it a bit more challenging and gets me ready for, let's say, a smaller manual pad that just requires you to kind of touch the surface a little bit, right? Because I've been to manual pads that are like this long, and I have kickflip nose manis real comfortably, but then I try to do it on something this small, and it just becomes so nerve-wracking, because I'm not familiar with anything similar. And so this gives you exploring different parks, different obstacles, doing your go-to tricks and different obstacles gives you a bit more preparation for something that you might encounter and really would want to skate in another park or at a street spot. So we're gonna clean it up a little bit. Okay, see what I mean? I have to engage that much more, but even that much more is challenging and not all the way comfortable, which is a good thing, because even if I'm doing a kickflip nose mani on flat ground where I don't even need a pop, I want to make sure I can clean it up, right, and be engaged as if I needed to do it on this. I couldn't do it. Okay, I'll clean it up. I think I tapped. Also, you'll start to realize your approach to certain tricks are very limited. It's very restricted. For example, because of the layout of the park you skate mostly, or the habits of doing certain tricks, you'll find that you're only comfortable turning from the left side, or you're only comfortable turning from the right side, depending on the tricks you're doing. With kickflip nose manis, I'm realizing that I already built this habit of coming in at an angle, even though I have so much space, to just come at it straight. So I might also look at that as an opportunity to, improve and adapt to situations. So, and making sure that I use this park to my best advantage, I'm just gonna approach it, how do you like, straight on? Huh? Head on, straight on, and see how that kind of changes my approach a bit. And yeah. There's a lot of science, I'm sure, behind why that makes it so much more difficult, but and it's maybe not even that it makes it difficult, it just has your nervous system working a bit more intentionally, right? And so there takes a little more thought instead of just doing things subconsciously with the tricks you have, right? All right, let's go straight on.
It does make it more challenging.
Yeah, it does. But also I want to mention, allow this to really humble yourself, to understand that there's always room to improve even your best tricks. I would consider this one of my most comfortable tricks, but there's always ways to make it uncomfortable, and that's where growth is. You're gonna find growth, right, in the process of challenging yourself and attempting it on a bit more difficult, on increasing the difficulty level by exposing yourself to a slightly different obstacle, right? And you can also do it with obstacles you're very comfortable with by just increasing the speed, changing the angle. For example, if I really wanted to make this difficult, I would curve in from here and then approach it in that manner, right? Because as you go to street spots, you're gonna recognize that, you know, you're limited in your approach, and so that itself is a challenge. It's not really doing the trick itself, but it's how the spot makes it that much more difficult, right? So we're just kind of getting ourselves ready for when a time like that comes, right? So let's go straight on. Toe tapped. Another way to challenge it is by coming the opposite way, because it slightly goes at a downhill, and so that's another way I could challenge it. For the sake of this video, I just want to land this one straight on. Honestly, I thought I was gonna do it a bit quicker, so that itself is a very humbling experience. Okay, right here. I also noticed that I'm just already used to coming to the left of me, so I was turning left instead of coming straight on, which is another thing. There's always room to get your tricks better, and that's pretty much what I'm trying to summarize and also present as I go through the process of doing this flip nose manny. But we're gonna go to the next obstacle and kind of explain why it's beneficial to go to a different park, and it's gonna be on that flat bar right there. Right. All right, so usually what's gonna happen when you go to different parks, you're going to naturally gravitate to the tricks you already have and test and feel out the park with those tricks. Nothing wrong with that, but I encourage you to kind of assess how comfortable you feel with that obstacle, with your go-to trick. And if it feels slightly uncomfortable, then you want to try to make it more comfortable, right? But if that trick that you usually do in your other parks or at other skate parks feels very comfortable on this one because it's maybe a lower rail, you know, lower length, or it's just a smoother approach, then I encourage you to kind of explore different tricks or different combinations. For example, this flat bar feels so much more comfortable to skate than others. I can't really put my eye on it, but because of this, I'm going to practice, you know, my backsmiths and challenge them by doing them in different variations. So I'm a backsmith popover, backsmith front 180 out, and then I'm also going to backsmith to lip slide. And so those are three tricks that are gonna allow me to not only improve my backsmiths, but also, you know, make it a challenge so that I'm not just kind of getting away with not really learning anything. Or not that I'm not learning anything, but there's always room to kind of create that challenge. So you could even do this by going faster at the backsmith, right? So let's do that. Let's go a little faster. So there's room to grow. I'm not saying you have to 180 out or do any other, you know, technically variation of that backsmith, but it's a way you can get out of that comfort zone, stress the nervous system a little bit, and, you know, progress in that way. So backsmith pop over, we're gonna do that. There's always room to improve that. I kind of popped over at the end, but we're gonna keep it going. It's also hot out here. I don't want the phone to like overheat.
So I was thinking.
And so we're gonna just run through these, but
this reminds me, you're kind of learning how to make sure you have full control of your skating and not like submitting to a certain way you have to skate.
Yeah, because your environment is going to shape your skateboarding. But no matter what, whether you expose it to different variations or not, it's going to influence your skateboarding. But going to different skate parks allows you to take things into your own measures and, you know, really decide how you want to shape your skateboarding, right? And so right now, as I practice these variations, I want to have control of this as much as I can, right? Because you can't control everything, and really place the intention in really fine-tuning these tricks, right? That I would want to have in multiple scenarios instead of just having it at one skate park or one obstacle. Okay? All right. Something that makes this challenging is the fact that it is short. What makes it simple is it's very smooth to approach it. The rail is fairly short to get on, or it's just a comfortable enough height where I'm not, really fixated on that. But I have to be very precise because it is kind of a short length. But I'm up for the challenge. That actually really got me. I'm holding it in a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna need a little break on that one. I didn't think it...
Reset.
Oh! Wow, that hurt so bad actually.
Really?
Yeah, let's reset them.
Let's see how he resets.
Alright, so first I need to make sure I can walk. Damn, that hurt so bad. After I said, oh, it's really easy to get on. Oh my goodness. Even filming while skating is like the biggest challenge.
Oh, that's true.
Oh. Sorry guys. Okay. I'm good, but it just kind of really like...
Oh, pulled your knee?
Yeah, well, not pulled, but my knee, this...
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It landed on the rail and it kind of just like...
Yeah.
I can't pull that with my knee, so
yeah.
It was a lot of impact. Okay. Alright, well, I'm gonna give this one more try, and depending on how that feels, I'm either gonna continue trying or not, because I'm not really trying to hurt myself, you know what I mean? Okay. Honestly, it was going too slow there too.
It's a proper reset.
Well, not too slow, but I think I approached it at too much of an angle. And so I didn't really, instead of doing that, I went, right? I rotated the same amount, but I was already at an angle. I didn't approach it parallel. Okay, let me try to get more parallel to it.
Make sure your body's loose, not tense.
Yeah, right now, after you fall, you want to make sure you're not like, I'm gonna do this. You want to relax. I think I can give it another try. But where I hit myself, it feels kind of tense, so I want to make sure I'm not exacerbating that. I'm not making it more.
Exacerbating.
I know, right? Smart words. And taking my time, okay? Not rushing into it. Resetting. All right. Yeah, I kind of freaked myself out a little bit. You know what it is though? For that frontside 180, I'm trying to get off too soon. And so the challenge here is hopping on early enough so that I can, settle in with the weight and then have that control and leverage to front 180. So, right here. Also, when I fell the other time, I kind of let myself fall because I didn't think it was going to be so bad. But it was worse than I thought, so now I kind of have a bit of more of a reason to react instead of just like submitting to the fall.
Yeah.
I'm specifically doing back Smith because front feeble front 180 out is way, not way more easier, but it's definitely a bit more, feels a bit more comfortable. So I'm purposely trying this trick.
20 minutes. What are you trying to?
Back Smith front 180 out. All right, but just I can make the most. So usually I am not someone who skates banks like this. You know, I want to look over there. Middle sections here, or even the quarter pipes. And so just going to a different park and exposing myself to those different obstacles allows me to, gives me the opportunity, not that it allows me, because you can easily come to this park and just stick to what's comfortable. But part of the reason why you want to go to different parks is because it's going to give you the opportunity to touch them. Even if you're not doing the hardest trick, you can just, you know, start to, in a way, acclimate to it, right? Adapt. You slowly adapt to it. So even if I'm just kind of doing this to warm up, it gives my nervous system that exposure, right? So that when I go to a spot or a park that's similar,
I think it might be too loud.
yeah. Okay, so it allows my nervous system to adapt to something, to this, so that when I go to a different park that's similar, skate a spot that's, you know, has a very similar approach, then I'm a bit more prepared for it. So again, just another example. We're gonna go back because I'm gonna land this. I can't not. Well, I'm not trying to force it, but I know I can. I feel good enough to land it, right? So that's why. If I really hurt myself, I'm not gonna try to ego trip on it and try to land it. I understand when I could, you know, live to fight another day kind of thing, right? A lot of us want to push through because we think it means that
Perseverance.
We think we associate it with perseverance, and even though it is in some cases, in other cases it's not perseverance, it's just
ego trip.
It's just ego tripping, you know. It's like you can skate this again, or in my case, I can skate this again. Now if it's your last trick and you really want to go for it and you want to put things on the line, last trick in a video part or something like that, then it's a different story. And there's an approach to that, I'm sure. That's not what I'm talking about. But if you're just at a skate park, don't kill yourself. Simple as that. Okay. Okay. So I'm realizing that as I get on,
Stiff.
I'm not stiff. Well, yeah, I'm a little stiff. I'm not really settling in. I'm not fully engaged. So yeah, in a way I am stiff, but also I've noticed that might be because of how I'm slightly going downhill. And so because of that, it's not that I need to lean a little more in, it's just I need to be this much more intentional about staying centered over that lead foot. And so that's what I'm going to apply by just making sure I get a bit lower and also landing a bit more engaged, right? So the intention is to do this trick with more engagement, right? Kind of need wax.
Yeah.
I don't have wax though.
You said I'm noticed. Instead of saying I'm noticing, you said I'm noticed.
I'm noticed. Oh my goodness. Dude, they're gonna start making memes. I'm noticed. Alright, so the phone died. And so we're just gonna continue on. But I'm going to land this back Smith front 180 out, and we're gonna finish off the video. Okay? Approach was already off.
The what?
My approach was already off.
Why?
Sometimes when you go to a different park, you avoid challenges like this, and it may not be on the first visit to that new skate park, but just be open to it, maybe second or third, if not the first, right? Or fifth, you know, if maybe that's a new skate park, you're gonna start to skate. Allow yourself to warm up to the park in that sense. Engaged.
Engaged. Oh,
Whoa.
you disengaged.
At the end,
Yeah.
I was, well, because I didn't really feel like popping. Or I was a bit, how do I say this? I
Lazy?
popped down too late.
Mm.
So, okay, right here. Yeah, I was extended all the way.
You're not fatiguing?
Yeah, no, I don't feel it, but I think my popping leg, the one that got caught on the rail, it definitely took a good hit. So I'm aware of that, but that just means I got to be a bit more intentional with the approach, but not too much where I'm tensed up before I go. So that's something I'm very conscious about. But then as I'm approaching, it's just I'm letting intuition take over. That could have been it. I just overthought it. Everything like paused for a second. Like I felt like I was in a flow state, but then I was like, wait, too good to be true kind of thing. You know what I mean? Hopefully you guys know what I mean. Okay, right there, my foot disengaged. I went like this. Engage. Allow yourself to adapt to different scenarios, different environments, different skate parks. My back foot also now, I don't know if you guys saw it, but I was like, toes were hanging off heavy. Okay. Also, something cool about this park is that they have little ramps, and every time I come, which is every few months, maybe like every other month, but I have gone periods where I skate where I don't skate this park for maybe like 4 months or 5, but every time I come, something slightly altered, so that's pretty fun. So every park has their unique, their unique, how do I say this, unique,
creative,
but just has their unique style. I would say that.
What happened?
I over.
Why did you come this way?
I overcorrected there.
Wait.
Huh?
Why did you kick my board?
So that we could walk.
Oh.
Okay, I overcorrected right there, like locked in sideways, the other way. Okay, right. A lot of people talk shit about. Oops, I wanted to keep it PG. A lot of people, look down on skating parks only, but I feel it's such an opportunity to, to challenge yourself, like we're talking about, and adapt. And so for those reasons, don't completely shut things out. Whether it's street skating, even a type of street skating, vert, pool, give yourself the opportunity to to explore that. I need to wax for sure, but we can do it without wax for sure.
Just try 2 tries in a row without without speaking.
I just needed one. Okay, that was cool. Obviously not the best landing, but we're gonna take it. And again, let this video be a reminder to get out of your comfort zone, expose your nervous system to different environments, allow it so that it can adapt, and you find progression through that, through overcoming that adaptation, right? It's in the process, not the goal. Sometimes we have to, no, most times actually, all the time, we have to get, all the time, we have to experience uncomfort, right? So get uncomfortable, adapt, and progress by exploring different skate parks. Having said that, hope you enjoyed this video. Peace out.